Hi everybody, this is Yoserim from BoyMeetsFilm.com, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S6. Samsung made a lot of changes this go around. The actual internal code name for this phone was Project Zero, hoping to give a fresh face to its Galaxy S line. So did it succeed? Check out my review to find out. The first thing that has to be said about the Galaxy S6 is that it looks great. Samsung has finally decided to ditch polycarbonate and embrace more premium material choices. Looking at this phone, you know it's a Samsung device. You can tell just by how it's designed up front that this is definitely a member of the Galaxy S family. But once you hold it in your hands, you can tell that this is not like any of the other previous Galaxy S devices. And that's thanks to its use of glass and metal. Samsung has used Gorilla Glass 4 for both the front and the back of this device and is using aluminum for the frame. Of course, the first worry with a glass back is that this will break easily, and it probably will. If you're not careful with this device, you could find yourself with a shattered front and back. This is made out of Gorilla Glass 4, so it is a little bit tougher than previous glass backed devices, but again, this is glass. Taking a look at the top, you'll see the ambient light and proximity sensor along with the new 5 megapixel front-facing camera. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the review. At the bottom, you'll see the new home button, which is flanked by the back and the multitasking key. This is a fingerprint sensor, much like the Galaxy S5, but it is much better than the Galaxy S5 and doesn't require a swipe, simply requires that you put your finger on the sensor to unlock it. It is a lot quicker and easier to use. Taking a look at the left side, you'll find the volume controls. On the right side, you will find the power and screen lock button, as well as an ejectable SIM card tray. This does use a nano SIM card. And looking at the bottom, you will find that Samsung has moved the speaker to the bottom of this device. You'll also find the micro USB port and a 3.5mm headphone jack. It should be noted that the micro USB port is a 2.0, which is a downgrade from the 3.0 found on the Galaxy S5. And the elephant in the room is the fact that the bottom of this phone looks suspiciously like the bottom of the iPhone 6. Except for the microphone placement, a lot of this is completely mirrored. And though a lot of people are going to be quick to bring up the Samsung-Apple comparison, I'd like to throw out the fact that the side of this device looks almost exactly like the sides of the Xperia Z2. Add the fact that this does have a glass back, and you can see that Samsung has borrowed a lot of design cues from a lot of other manufacturers. Taking a look at the back of the device, you'll find a 60 megapixel camera with flash, which we'll talk about later on in the review. And you'll also find the Samsung Health sensor, which is used for S Health. This can monitor your O2 levels as well as your heart rate. All those good looks do come at a cost, and in this case, that cost is two features that Samsung has always been quick to rub in the face of some of its competitors: a removable battery and expandable storage. To make up for the fact that this does have a non-removable battery, Samsung did add quick charging as well as built-in wireless charging for both the Qi and PMA standard of wireless charging. As far as the storage goes, you can get this phone in a 32 gig, 64 gig, or a 128 gig variant. Like on any smartphone, the part you can be spending the most time looking at is the display. And on the Galaxy S6, I can pretty much guarantee you two things. You'll love it, and at some point, you'll question the need for it. The Galaxy S6 sports a 5.1-inch QHD Super AMOLED panel at a resolution of 1440 by 2560. That puts the pixel density up around 570 pixels per inch. And to be completely honest, it's an embarrassment of riches. Pictures look great, video looks great, text looks great on it. It has some nice deep blacks, colors pop. And like I said, at some point you're going to be looking at a video on this and you're going to be questioning, did I really need a panel with so many pixels per inch? And the answer to that is you didn't need it, but you'll definitely be happy you have it. On the software side, the Galaxy S6 is running Android 5.0.2 Lollipop with Samsung's TouchWiz user interface. Though TouchWiz has been toned down quite a bit when compared to previous versions, there is no mistaking that this is TouchWiz. and with that comes the good things and the bad things. On the plus side, Samsung has done a really good job focusing more on performance this time around, meaning navigating through the interface is very smooth. Samsung has also done away with a lot of the confusing settings in the settings menu. When compared to the Galaxy S5, where you have pages upon pages and lists that you had to go through to find anything, the pared down settings menu on the Galaxy S6 is quite refreshing. Samsung has also done away with a lot of features. Things like direct call, smart alert, and swiping your palm across the display to take a screenshot are still available. However, things like Air Browse and Air View have disappeared. One-handed operation is also gone. However, on certain apps in the Galaxy S6, you can minimize the window so you can use the app one-handed while also navigating through the rest of the device. The software cutbacks weren't all good. Samsung decided to get rid of touch sensitivity. With this mode, it allowed you to use the phone while wearing gloves. I found this one especially helpful during last winter. To see it disappear makes no sense, as it's a feature that many users probably enjoyed. I did find that you could get the phone to react with gloves on, but you had to put a good amount of pressure on the display, which makes me a little bit worried about cracking it. Though Samsung has cut down in many ways, they did manage to add 2 new customization options by way of screen grid and themes. Themes is exactly what it sounds like. You can add different themes to the device, changing the overall look and feel of your Galaxy S6. Screen grids allows you to choose how the grid setup for the home screen will be. Standard is 4x4, but you can also do 4x5 or 4x6, allowing you to add more widgets and apps to the display. Design isn't the only bold move Samsung made this year when it comes to the Galaxy S6. They also made a really bold move when it comes to the internal specs. Normally around this time, I'd be talking about how the US variant has a Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset, while the international variant has a Samsung-made Exynos chipset. However, both the US and international variants share the Samsung-made Exynos 7420. The 7420 is an octa-core chipset consisting of a quad-core 1.5 GHz Cortex-A53 processor, as well as a quad-core 2.1 GHz Cortex-A57 processor. That is paired with 3 gigs of RAM and a Mali T760MP8 GPU. Thanks to that Exynos 7420, in synthetic benchmarks, the Galaxy S6 pulls far ahead of all of its other competitors. However, if you know me, you know I'm really not into this whole synthetic benchmark thing. I'm more interested in the day-to-day performance. In day-to-day performance, I found that the Galaxy S6 is a great phone. That isn't to say that it's perfect. TouchWiz will always be TouchWiz, and there's always slight issues with having to redraw the home screen, and every once in a while I found that it was a little bit slow to react to a touch, but these incidents were far and few in between. In general, this is a super fast device. So what's the point of having a great looking fast phone if the battery's going to die in a couple of hours? To that end, you might be wondering, how's the battery life on the Galaxy S6? Unlike the Galaxy S5, the Galaxy S6 actually has a smaller battery at 2,550 milliamp hours. This would make you think that it translates to less battery life. However, it actually translates to about the same amount. That's not a great thing, but also not a horrible thing. I found that I didn't have much of an issue getting through a day of moderate usage. On days where I did use the phone a little bit more, I was quite thankful for the fact that it does have quick charging and wireless charging built in, because I did find myself having to top up just to make it through the rest of my day. This year, Samsung took great care to make sure that the camera experience on the Galaxy S6 was not only quick and easy to use, but that the camera on it was usable in most situations. To that end, Samsung equipped the Galaxy S6 with a 16 megapixel rear-facing camera with optical image stabilization and a front-facing 5 megapixel camera. Both cameras have a f1.9 aperture, meaning that more light is going to be hitting those sensors. As far as the software goes, Samsung not only shows restraint in its feature set, but also the aesthetics. The layout is very clean and simple, You don't have too many settings out in the open. To get to most of the settings, you do have to go into a separate menu away from the actual viewfinder. In auto mode, you only have a few settings available to you, such as effects, HDR, timer, and flash controls. If you want more options to play around with, you're going to have to switch over to Pro mode. In Pro mode, you can do things like control the ISO, the metering, white balance, and also you can set the focus manually. However, you can't do things like control the shutter speed, so it kind of limits what you can do creatively with your photos. As far as other shooting modes go, you have selective focus, which allows you to play with the focus of the shot after you take it. You have panoramic. For video, you have both slow and fast motion, and then you also have virtual shot, which allows you to take a cool 3D image using multiple shots of an object. You can also download a few more modes by going to the Samsung store. One of the best new features of the Galaxy S6's camera is the ability to quickly launch it by simply double tapping the home button. This can be done even when the screen is locked, if you're navigating through a page, no matter what. It allows you to quickly jump into the camera and take a photo just at the moment when you need to. It is incredibly convenient and a really great feature. When looking at images produced by the Galaxy S6, it is clear that Samsung brought its A game this year. Thanks to its improved optics package and better image processing, what you're left with is a phone that can produce great images in almost every situation. Of course, outside in bright sunlight and indoors in good lighting, this camera shines the most. However, thanks to the addition of optical image stabilization and a wider aperture, I did find that the Galaxy S6 performed better than most in low light situations. Of course, everything was not perfect, and there was a little bit more noise than I would have liked to see, but given that this was taken in a low light situation with no flash, I'd say it did pretty good. The front-facing 5-megapixel camera is also pretty impressive, and thanks to the wide selfie mode available, it does make taking those awkward group selfies a little bit easier. Shooting video is another area where the Galaxy S6 shines, thanks to its 16-megapixel camera's ability to record 4K video. The front-facing 5-megapixel camera can shoot at up to QHD, that's quad high def, so same resolution as the display. When you're shooting above 30 frames per second full high def, you will lose several features such as digital image stabilization, tracking autofocus, HDR, and a couple of others. However, the addition of the built-in optical image stabilization means you do get really smooth video recording. I used the Galaxy S6 in central Massachusetts on T-Mobile's LTE network, and I didn't have any issues with dropped calls. As far as the call quality goes, callers said I sounded clear and had no issues hearing me, and on my end, I didn't have much of an issue hearing callers, though I did end up using the extra volume option a couple of times. The history of the Galaxy S line is marred with ups and downs, especially when it comes to design of both the phone and the user experience. Here in the US, we went from having every carrier have a different version of the phone, not only in software, but in looks, to finally having a phone that is universally recognized. But Samsung was still selling us polycarbonate in a world full of glass and metal. Finally, with the Galaxy S6, Samsung has listened to the users and put out a phone that feels as premium as the price. But that design did come at a cost. Gone is the ability to quickly swap out the battery while on the go. No more can you expand your memory by simply putting in a micro SD card. And oddly enough, gone is a feature just introduced last year on the Galaxy S5, the IP67 rating. For a company that's known for adding in crazy features, finally we had one that universally just made sense to only have it disappear the next model year. Despite my qualms over some of the features Samsung took away this year, the Galaxy S6 is still a great device. Between how it looks and how it performs, this is arguably Samsung's most well-rounded device ever. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys found it informative. If you liked it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It would be greatly appreciated. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this. You can also follow me online, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Boy Meets Phone. And if you get a chance, check out the site, boymeetsphone.com. It's full of news and help articles and all that other good stuff. So this has been Yossarian for boymeetsphone.com. Thanks for watching.